Hi, welcome to my video. My name is Eric G, and basically all I'm going to do is talk about this book that I've been reading, and I'm just going chapter by chapter. So the first part of the book is basically about conquering things, and then the next part of the book is about choosing things. So I think there's two more to go, and then it'll be about choosing. But I'm just going to talk about one today. So the next mood that I'm going to talk about in this chapter is called anger. It's basically the lie of anger. So how does anger lie to you? Can be used to get what you want. So anger can be a lie. Why? Because you use it to get what you want. So maybe you are mad at something, or maybe you're mad at someone, and because you're angry, you want to get something that you want. Maybe you want to get revenge because you're angry. So anger can be one of the most destructive forces. So anger can be one of the most things, or one of the most ways you can cause harm to other people, is because of being angry. Or just like forces, like gravity is a force, the weather is like a force of nature. So our anger can be like a force of nature, so it can be destructive. Let's see. And also, so why we use anger. So anger can be a force, like a destructive one, like nature. So why we use anger. So why do we use anger? We use anger to force others to give us what we want. So maybe somebody gets you angry. So what are you going to do? You're going to force that thing back, whatever it is, whatever you want, whatever they taken. Maybe you're going to force your way to get it back because you're angry and you're not doing it right. So we have to learn that our anger can intimidate others and get them to comply with our desires. So we use anger to force people to get what we want by making them afraid, to get them to do what we expect with our desires because of something that happened to us. So basically, examples: when you get mad, or when we get mad enough with customer service. So as an example, when you go to a store, maybe you get mad at the customer service. When you get angry at your co-workers, which can always happen, they stay out of your way. So that's a good thing. Or if you know that you have an angry co-worker or a fellow worker, basically if you know that they get angry, and you know that because they get angry that they're going to try to make you afraid, and they're going to try to get you to do what they expect you to do with their desire, then you should probably just stay out of their way. When we raise our voices with our children, another example, they fall in line. So basically, when somebody's angry, of course, people might raise their voice as a intimidation. But just because you raise your voice doesn't mean I'm going to be afraid and intimidated by what you got to say. Just because you try to say it loudly doesn't mean you can say it proudly. These results condition us to believe that the fastest way to get what we want is to use anger. So basically, when somebody does something to us, how are we going to get what we want back? Basically, maybe we think about using our anger to get it the fastest way we can. But it has a cost, and its price is always higher than any perceived gain. Perceived. So basically, than any notice or becoming aware of something. So anger has a cost, and its price is always higher than anything we notice to gain, or anything we notice. So I perceived that she had been crying. So basically, an example, I noticed that she has been crying. So remember, even that anger has a cost, and the price is always higher than what we notice. We don't truly want more compliance. Basically, we don't want more compliance from others. What we really want is happiness. So we should want from other people is happiness, not compliance. And sometimes out of angry, like they say, you want to raise your voice, you want to make them afraid, you want to make them intimidated, or you want to be intimidated to make them afraid, and you want them to comply instead of thinking about their happiness and how you can go about a situation in a better way without using anger. So when we get mad at a customer service to get a discount, we are not happy. So we are agitated. So that's a word that I literally have. Well, a word that I try not to do is get agitated, especially with anger, especially when it does come to work and in daily life. Sometimes we can get agitated, or maybe because, well, agitated is also a way of saying having troubled emotions. So maybe we are having troubled emotions when our coworkers stay out of the way. We are not happy. We are separated. We are separated. So disconnected is another way. So we are separated when we raise our voice at our children. We are not happy. We are disappointed. So we gotta make sure that we want the happiness from others, not making them feel like they have disappointed us with whatever it is that we're doing. So your own ego or your own self-critic will lie that we can use anger to get what we want. But the thing we want most is what? Anger destroys. The thing we want most is what anger destroys. So if you want, or if, what you want most is maybe more friendships, or maybe something else, whatever that thing that you want in life, be careful with anger, because what you want in life can be destroyed. We cannot be angry and happy at the same time. So we can't be happy, mad at the same time. You're either happy or you're mad. Or you're either angry or you're happy. You either have joy or you're mad. One of the two. It can't be one or the other. So anger puts us in the box. So when anger comes up, then the only place you're going to be is stuck in a box. So every word spoken in anger must be backed up with more angry words. Yep. So when we feel angry, be careful, because the words you're spoken or speaking to that person about will have another backup with even more angry words. So we do this to justify that our initial anger was validated, or fair, or reasonable. So every word we spoken out of, or speaking out of anger, is backed up by more angry words. So why does that happen? Because we want to feel fair, or we want to make it reasonable, or we want to make an excuse to justify why we're angry, but there is none. And then we back it up, anger with more anger, to prove our point. So be careful who you meet, or sometimes people get angry, and I feel like when they're wrong, guess what? They're just going to use words to be more angry, just to prove a point. So we are angry with someone, so this is what it means in the box, what it means. So when we are angry with someone, basically what are you doing? You're putting yourself in a box. This box is a place where you can no longer care about being happy. we only care about justifying our position. So be careful about being angry, because the only place you're going to be put in is your own box, and you're not going to care about being happy anymore, just so you can justify whatever it is that you're angry about. We do what's best for us, not best for the other person. Instead, we want the other person to continue harming us. So the author explains box in this way. Whenever we are in the box, we have a need that is met by others' poor behavior. Let me read that again. When we have a need that is met by others' poor behavior, we put ourselves in a box. So we encourage more poor behavior in others, even if that behavior makes our lives more difficult. So we put ourselves in a box and encourage more poor behavior, and it makes our life more difficult. And we should definitely not encourage poor behavior. We should encourage good behavior, right behavior in others, so our life can not be difficult, so our life can be better if we encourage good behavior and not always encourage poor kind of behaviors. When we are in the box, we act like we want the other person to feel regretful and make things better. So we act like we want the other person to regret and make things better. So basically, we want them to pretend and apologize to us because we are out of line because of our anger. So we expect apology from them instead of us giving the apology for our anger and for what we were doing wrong and for our poor behavior. And if they apologize, we start acting nice. We would be proven wrong about their character. We already told everyone, or let's see. In the box, we would rather be right about our judgments than proven wrong. So you got to have friendships, or we should have friendships that are willing to be proven wrong about their judgments, so they can have happiness and accept it. So you can help. So understand the box can help you can conquer anger. Let's see. To avoid putting yourself in the box, it is crucial to stop communicating with anger. So how do you stay out of the box? You have to communicate without anger. As soon as you communicate to someone with anger, you're basically putting yourself in a box. So you're proving your point to be justified, so they're not going to be happy, and you're expecting an apology for them to give to you because you didn't communicate in the right way. Let's see. It is also important that you don't start recruiting other people to see why anger is justified. And that's very important. You don't want friends that if one friend is angry, they're going to get more friends in the conversation to justify their anger, and they're going to try to prove themselves right in the wrong ways. Let's see. When you find yourself complaining to someone else about a situation that angers you, that's what happens that a lot of people do, or those are the kind of people that I'm like, I'd rather not even care or talk about it. Just because somebody makes you angry, you're going to complain to somebody else about that person. Or we should not speak or complain when we're angry. So you cannot put yourself in a box. Because as soon as you complain to someone else about a situation, that's another way of putting yourself in a box. Rather than speak in anger, try to bring awareness to your sensations as you feel anger rising. So before anger rises, make sure that you have enough awareness not to be stuck in the box. So what sensations do you feel when it's anger? Or what do you feel? What kind of sensations do you have when you feel angry? So an example is, this is my signal to stop talking. So whatever it is that you feel when you're angry, you should pay attention to that so you can stop before you get put in the box. Whatever it is, whatever signal that it gives, you got to stop and listen and pay attention to that signal before you get too angry and you're in the box. And also another point, when you're angry, it's not time for you to go on a rant or get on the phone or send a text. You should stop communicating before you put yourself in the box, so you can be your best self. So we got to step back from angry, or step back from situations that make us angry. Let's see. So we cannot be triggered by it. Let's see. And I'm not saying that you should suppress your anger or ignore it. Suppression will create a whole host of other problems. So that's not a good thing. If you have anger, suppressing it can lead to other problems. You got to learn how to release your anger, not suppress the anger. Let's see. So anger protects our vulnerability. So lurking beneath the surface of our external anger is the raw feeling of vulnerability, exposed. So people feel angry because anger protects us from anger protects us from being exposed. Or we try to use anger to express us from being exposed from something that we might have said that we know we're wrong, but instead we'd rather try to keep acting like we're right because we know we're exposed. Or maybe our hearts are vulnerable, so our anger tries to protect us. So anger is basically like a tactic that the body uses to make ourselves appear stronger. So behind anger is either hurt or fear. Like we talked about fear, or in another, I think the last video, one of the videos, it talks about fear. So what is behind anger? Fear. Maybe you get angry because you're fearful of what that person is saying because they are right and you know it. Feel angry, or feeling angry, is to acknowledge the truth. Like I said, the truth, because somebody's telling you the truth. Sometimes you might feel angry. So when somebody tells you the truth, you feel angry to protect yourself because you've been exposed and you are vulnerable, maybe, and that's why you try to, because the truth, I'm feeling hurt and I'm feeling afraid. So you might feel hurt and afraid because somebody tells you the truth. So anger comes in and protects you because you know you're exposed. And it's not easy to admit when we feel vulnerable. And of course, some people don't or will not admit when they are vulnerable. They'd rather just keep it going. But the path to happiness is to set down the weapon of anger. So set down that anger and heal your emotions. So getting in touch with my vulnerabilities. Let's see. So anger, the first thing that anger does, or the first emotion that anger conceals, is hurt. And the second one that anger conceals is fear. So hurt and fear. Let's see. So forgiveness sets your soul free. So we need to, forgiveness sets your soul free. So don't feel angry, but we got to make sure, because anger is forgiveness. So how do we conquer? Anger is by forgiveness. Forgiveness is our offering of love to another, a gift we give to ourselves. So don't give anger to somebody as a gift. If you want to give a gift, then maybe you should give forgiveness to somebody that you love. Give them your forgiveness. Don't give them don't give them your anger, but give them your forgiveness as a gift. Don't leave bitterness and hatred behind. Yep. Don't leave bitterness and hatred. When we choose anger, we're the one that's keeping ourselves in our own prison. So we're the one that's in the box. We're the one that's in our own prison when we choose to be angry with someone. Whenever we give, whatever we give to another, we also receive. So if you give forgiveness to somebody that you love instead of anger, you also will receive forgiveness. So giving our full forgiveness is the only responsible choice. So what is a responsible choice? When somebody cuts you in line, when your coworker is getting on your nerves, you just gotta apologize because you got angry because of what they're doing. So you said those words, and the responsible choice is to give them forgiveness. Whether they accept that forgiveness or not is up to them. And if they don't, just move it along and continue on with your life. And don't harbor the bitterness and hatred. So that bitterness and hatred, you have to let it go. And you have to give them forgiveness. And if they reject your forgiveness, then don't harbor bitterness, because that's not good. But remember to give compassion to someone who has hurt us. So if they hurt you, remember to give compassion to them, not anger. So here's a prayer. So here's a prayer that he says about forgiveness. So it says, if you want to say it, you can. God, please help me forgive this person. I'm willing to see their situation differently. I'm willing to forgive. Please help me see them with your loving eyes. Amen. So sometimes we need to ask God to help us to forgive someone and open our eyes to maybe they are in a situation that is difficult and different than ours. Let's see. Let's see. It was possible that I subconsciously wanted him to create this drama in my life. No, that's something else. So if you find, let's see. So you are free to choose your story at any moment. So if they don't accept your forgiveness, don't hold on to bitterness. So you can be free to choose your own story at any moment. you have to realize that things that cause you the most pain are your own negative stories. So what causes the most pain is you being negative. You can choose to let go of your negative story and replace it with a positive one. So remember, we can choose to let go of that negative story so we can have a positive one. So the last point here, and I'm done for today. To move beyond anger, you must be willing to let go of your need for your negative story to be right. So to move on to anger, like I said, you feel angry, you got to remove your willingness to want to be justified by when you're exposed by saying that your story is right, even though you're not. And you got to be humble enough to tell yourself a new story where you are wrong. So basically, we got to admit that we are wrong if we want to move past, or we got to admit that we are wrong so we can move beyond anger and conquer it. And last point, you can either be right or you can be happy, but you cannot be both at the same time. So remember, if somebody is angry and they are wrong, let them be wrong. It's okay. Let them be wrong. All you got to do is have compassion and forgiveness. And if they accept it or not, they can stay wrong as long as they want. Or you're the one that can be happy. If they're angry at you, make sure that you're the one that can be happy and not hold on to bitterness and move on. And then the last thing, the truth, anger destroys what I truly want, which is happiness. To attain happiness, I choose to work on the hurt and fear beneath the anger and move on and move to forgiveness. So we got to remember, move past the anger and go to forgiveness, because it's the process. So we got to work, basically, we got to process the hurt and fear beneath the anger. So that's about it. And I think there's 2 more left. God is good all the time, and I'm out.